Welcome to Alpha Wolf Capital. I'm Tim, and I want to personally thank you for stopping by. Between the OTC, New York Stock Exchange, and NASDAQ, there are over 22,000 companies traded publicly. I feel that small businesses are the backbone of America. This channel is designed to help small companies, both public and private, gain exposure with potential consumers, investors, even partners. Take, for example, today's guest. CEO Jeb Besser of Modular Medical Devices. Modular Medical just received 510K clearance on their MODD1 insulin pump. There is a $3 billion market out there for almost pumpers that want simplicity, not a complicated pump. The MODD1 fills that need, but I'll let Jeb Besser tell you more about that in just a minute. It's important to understand that I do not collect compensation for the interviews I do here. The purpose of this channel is to find companies that have identified big problems and have found solutions to those problems. There's a thing called impact investing. It's tied to environmental, social, and governance. By helping a small company become a large corporation, if you and I can become ambassadors of a product because the values of that company align with our own, think of all the jobs that will be created as that small company becomes a big company. Think about the community that that company is in. Typically, they thrive along with the company. This channel is to help companies that are relatively unknown become known so that they can build a following and they can have brand ambassadors that share their vision, share their mission, and are willing to do what they can to help have a positive impact on humanity. That's what this channel is all about. This is my invitation to you to become a positive impact person. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. I am not a financial advisor. I recommend highly that before buying any security, you speak to a financial advisor and do your own due diligence.
Modular Medical's MODD1 insulin infusion pump system has been designed to support improved therapy with minimal user engagement. A supply kit contains the consumable cartridge reservoirs and all consumable components for setup. The cartridge reservoir contains the battery and simply snaps to the pump and powers on the system. A tone and indicator light confirm the system is on and ready for filling with insulin. The cartridge holds up to 300 units of rapid insulin and may be used over 3 days. A tool is used to actuate the priming button. It's now time to move to attaching the infusion set. Simply prep the inserter, remove the cover to expose the needle, remove the adhesive liner, cock the device by twisting, place it on the body where desired, and press the launch button to insert. Once the priming process is complete, the pump can be attached to the adhesive plate. The pump may now be attached by snapping the cap onto the infusion set and applying the pump adhesive in the surrounding area. It's simple to initiate a bolus delivery by interfacing with a single control button. A long press initiates the bolus mode. 5 repetitive presses have been entered to represent a 10-unit bolus. The pump provides feedback through ascending tones, and once the user provides the confirmation press, the bolus will start the delivery. We offer a phone app that monitors pump activity, providing peace of mind and a means to share history with your healthcare provider. A pre-meal bolus can be performed even through clothing, providing a discreet, quick, and simple process. Feedback from the pump can easily be heard and then confirmed with a press. By pressing the control button for an extended period, you can put the pump in basal suspended mode for 30 minutes. A unique tone and light indicate the device is in delivery suspend mode. You may also remove the pump, and if your cartridge is empty, release it from the pump using the same priming tool. At Modular Medical, we are developing technology to achieve better health outcomes.
Hey, everybody. Tim from Alpha Wolf Capital coming at you with a follow-up to a underappreciated very exciting development that has happened with Modular Medical Devices. Uh, Jeb Besser, congratulations, man. Thanks for coming in. I know you're busy, but I appreciate you taking time to give us an update.
Oh, no. Hey, thanks for having me on, Tim. I appreciate it, and hopefully we'll spend less time on the FDA process than we have on previous calls.
So you got the 510K clearance, which I have to say, I don't even think you anticipated that it would happen this quickly.
I think we certainly didn't anticipate that it would happen 2 days before the official FDA action date. Kudos to a government agency for coming in early.
Yeah.
That was a nice surprise.
And for that to happen, I think that says a lot about the the product itself, right?
I think it says that, our clinical and regulatory people and our engineers did a phenomenal job. We did a lot of really, really, really productive testing in anticipation of what the FDA might have asked. And then when they did ask questions, they were thoughtful and reasonable questions, and we responded appropriately. And then they were able to interactively answer their remaining questions. So, I mean, this is how the FDA is supposed to work. And and so hats off for it working like it's supposed to. And obviously we were pleasantly surprised, because up until 4 days before our clearance, there had never been a pump that was cleared on the first set of questions. And then Embecta got theirs cleared on the Friday, and then we got ours cleared the following Wednesday. So that was good.
So
It was good.
let's talk about, because I personally am baffled by where the reaction. Let's just put it that way.
Mhm.
Yes, you had a nice little pop. In my mind, it's people are not grasping. They're not grasping the meaning of what has happened, and they're underappreciating the product that you have. Maybe they misunderstand who you're targeting as a potential customer, or the size of that TAM. Um, Maybe they just don't understand your product at all. I don't know. Maybe, but I don't think the price today reflects what has been accomplished by the company.
Well, I'd have to agree with you on that this is not an accurate reflection. I'd say that we've gotten through this process and created a viable product for probably a tenth of what anyone else ever has in this space. And I think that speaks to the power of, when you have a differentiated idea and you have good engineers. That's, one really good engineer is worth 10 very mediocre ones. And I think the execution's been good. Um, and look, I think at the same time, I think the market is ready for a product like this. And I think that while there have been a bunch of pumps that have been cleared in the last year and a half, that doesn't mean that the space has gotten crowded. It means that the space has gotten crowded for the 20% of the market that is well served by the current products, where now there are even more products vying for those same high-end users who want lots of features and lots of complexity, and are willing to spend the time it takes to manage one of the existing devices. Whereas, once again, we are laser focused on the almost pumpers, on the next group of people who can adopt a pump, who represent a part of the 80% of people who could benefit from wearing a pump, who still aren't wearing one 30 years after they were introduced. So, I mean, that's a greenfield opportunity, and we're a very, very different product. And it's just me saying this. We were just at the certified pump trainer, nurse diabetes educator trade show in New Orleans. And look, there's a lot of pull from potential customers. There are a lot of clinicians who look at our product and say, I know exactly who I would write that for once it's available, once it's commercially available.
Endos, those are.
So endocrinologists are the doctors who say, I think you have diabetes. I'm going to help you. You're a person with diabetes. I'm going to prescribe a pump for you. But they don't really help you choose the pump right now. The Switzerland of pumps is the certified pump trainer who says, Tim, I think the T-Slim is better for you, or I think the MODD1 is better for you, given what I can judge from your technical acumen and the features that you're interested in and the amount of work that you're willing to put in. Because the reality is, Most people who are diagnosed with diabetes do not say, it's time for me to pick up a new hobby. It's diabetes. It's time for me, it's time for me. I want to invest lots of time in understanding everything about this and understanding exactly how much more time I can spend to optimize my care. There's a group of people who say that, and I applaud them for doing the work, as always. But there's another group of people who are like, I want my life back. I want to manage this in an appropriate fashion with the best care I can have without spending more than 10 minutes a day doing it. And I want a product that I can wear, that I can learn to use in relatively short order. And that niche is not filled in the current market. Doesn't exist. That product doesn't exist until our product.
Hey there, thank you for tuning in and watching the interviews we do here at Alpha Wolf Capital. Just like I look for companies that I feel could have a positive impact on humanity and could also offer a better than average return on investment, I'm always looking for tools or applications that can help me do the research and find those companies a little bit easier. And recently, I came across an app that does just that. And I want to share it with you because if you are wanting to learn about the financial markets, if you want to keep up to date on current events within the markets, if you want to learn more about trading or get stock picks or buy and sell recommendations, this is an app for you. And what I love about this app that is different from like Seeking Alpha or Motley Fool, which those are not inexpensive apps. You can pay anywhere up to about $115 a week for one of those apps. And this one equates to about $1.50 a week, which is pretty impressive. I was a little concerned maybe about the content because of how it's delivered, which is in short-term video. And I have to tell you, I am more than pleasantly surprised. The quality of the content is fantastic. There is a lot of information to absorb. They have a whole series of different categories that that you can check out. They have about, I want to say, 15 stock picks or stock ideas a week. You've got buy and sell recommendations from Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan. There's really a lot. If the Fed makes a move, you get, real time information on what is happening in the market. I'm telling you, this is a fantastic tool. It's a mobile app. You get 3 push notifications a day, I believe, and the quality of the content is really, really good. The video format is great for me because I'm a very visual person. I like reading as well, but this is for getting a quick update on what's happening or what's moving. This is a fantastic app at a very reasonable price. And here's the bonus. If you use my link, you get 25% off of that subscription. Now you get a 14-day free trial. So you can sign up through the link, get a 14-day free trial. If you don't like it, cancel it. You don't have to sign up at all. But if you do like it, and I think you're going to like what you find, $79 is about what it equates to a year. If you're serious about learning about the financial industry, the markets, keeping up on, that's nothing. That is a steal of a deal. So check out Stock Pick. Use the link in the video description below. Get 25% off, and I think you're going to be very pleased.
I think aside from the fact that I've used the Libre example many times, like aside from the fact that the Libre proves that in CGMs there was a more casual market and there's no reason to believe that that market doesn't exist in pumps, it's just it's such an urgent need. But in order to access that need, you have to design the product from the ground up to be easy to learn, easy to prescribe, and affordable.
Right.
and differentiate it. And I think that what the power of what the FDA has done here is they've cleared our pump, which uses a completely different pumping mechanism than everyone else.
Right.
And is a two-part pump, two-part patch pump. And that is unique. Embecta got cleared with a one-part patch pump. So it's very much like an insulin. You throw all the pumping electronics away every 3 days. Ours lasts for 90 days. Think about the relative waste and relative cost of just that fact. Forget about the fact that we pump differently. Forget about the fact that our cartridge is 12 pieces of molded plastic and a coin cell battery, whereas theirs is 75 discrete components. Just the fact that pumping technology that has to be so accurate that you can pump within a 200th of a drop with 5% accuracy all the time and never fail open, and you can wear it on your body, that you're throwing that away with those guys every 3 days, and ours lasts for 90. At scale, you can see where this is going.
Right. Right. And so there are a couple of, and I really don't want to highlight their names or anything, but there is a lot of misconception out there, it seems to me, in the marketplace. There is rumor or speculation that you're going to do a huge dilutive, horrible termed financing to commercialize this. I think you made it really clear in your call that right now you have everything that you need to go out and basically see what your options are.
Yeah. I mean, look, clearly any incremental money that we're going to deploy while we figure out our options is going to be in the same vein as what I said we'd be spending money on in advance of clearance if we thought that things were going well with the FDA, which is things that will improve our throughput and our margins in the product, because any acquirer or us would value that in terms of ability to scale up faster and at better margin and with better profitability. Those are evergreen investments, and we're going to continue to make those. But how can I look you as an investor in the eye and say, I've decided that we're going to, invest $5 million in a bunch of people to walk the streets hawking our product, if I haven't seen what the strategic interest is, and that strategic interest might be from distributors, it might be from overseas partners, and it might be from the large companies that exist in this space that we fit so well with on different levels. And so it's very hard to engage with any of those parties, given the number of well-funded companies that have gone into the same process that we went into and never got through it, never got cleared and died. And so now that we have the clearance, now that we have a line in Mexico that's in place and being in the process of being validated for human use in the US, and we have a clear differentiated pumping technology, we're going to go out and see what the answers to all those questions are. And only then can we decide what we're going to do. And what we're going to do is not a overnight 200% warrant coverage deal at $1.30 tomorrow. Because I'm not really incented to do that. I don't have any comp except the equity. So therefore, I want the equity to work, and I don't think the equity will work if I do something like that. And that doesn't really solve my problem, because how do I know what the right number is if I don't go out and explore? But what I will say is the right number is not $50 million just because.
Right.
Because I think there is so many ways. Our product is so different as a sale, given that its training time is 10 to 20 minutes. I was
just going to say, I just watched the video on your site of how you use the pump, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think it was 2 minutes long. 2 minutes.
Yeah. Yes. She does a good job of putting it. By the way, she's not a person with diabetes. She's not used to playing with needles. I think it's also worth mentioning that she's not actually pumping insulin, because that would be illegal. No one has pumped insulin with our product before, because that's not okay. However, now that we're cleared, as I said in the call, we're going to do a trial somewhere that isn't the United States, but that will allow us to do an investigational trial with an FDA cleared product, where we put it on some patients to make sure that everything is just right before we do a broad US launch.
Right. But my point is, it was a 2-minute and 30-second video.
Yep.
And I pretty much grasped the entire concept of how you use this device.
Yes. Yep.
Right?
Yep. That's right.
Pretty simple. Not a big complicated thing.
No, I think honestly, when I've witnessed us doing our usability studies, probably spend about half your time on the product and another half of your time on how can you manage your diabetes better. Just basic education.
Right.
Not anything to do with our product.
So the speculation about I think these are maybe the things that are I'm trying to address the things that
Yeah.
are holding.
Okay. Well, we've got the financing risk. Let's address another misconception head on that I've heard from a couple people, which is, well, how are you going to convey the message that your pump is better than the other guys in the space, these billion-dollar companies in the space? And once again, anyone who says something like that has not watched any of our presentations, because our contention is not that I don't think you can sell anymore under the "my pump is better" thesis. You might be able to sell under the thesis that my pump is better for you because you want to do less than 10 minutes of work a day to manage your pump. You want to be able to learn it in 20 minutes. You want to be able to have 4 configurations instead of 1,300. And I think that, it's the classic difference that I allude to all the time between, yes, you can have a latte machine and you can have a Keurig, and they both make coffee, but one has all the bells and whistles and knobs and levers, and one, you take a cup, you put it in the thing, you clamp it down, and you hit start. And anyone can figure out how to do that in a hotel room in 4 minutes, and that's why it's in the hotel room.
Right.
And that product has not existed in pump land to date, and maybe that's why 1 out of 5 people is on a pump 30 years after they were introduced. So no, the plan is not to market head to head against the other guys for the same audience. The plan is to go to the other people in this space who should be wearing technology but aren't, because they're intimidated, or it's too expensive, or it's too complex, or because they don't want to use their phone with it. Actually, this brings up another very funny aside that we heard consistently at the recent show, which is, people are always asking me, well, how are you going to add phone integration? How are you going to make this controlled by your smartphone as soon as possible? And the funny thing about that is, one, we have NFC, we have Bluetooth, we have all the ability, we have plenty of processing power to do everything that the other pumps in this space can do, but we've chosen to make the interface simpler to use for a different set of customers. But the funny thing about it is, so when we talk to clinicians who prescribe pumps, a fair number of them said, you have to just assure me that you don't need a phone to use this product, because I have a whole bunch of patients who want this, but they want to make sure that it doesn't touch their phone because they don't want to deal with that.
Right.
They don't want to download a new app. They don't want to learn anything new related to their phone. They don't want to need their phone in order to bolus and manage their basal. And some of them are worried that the that the app is going to steal their health information.
Right.
So how do I avoid, are you sure that you can manage this entire thing using the button on that device? The answer is yes. So look, is that highbrow or cool? I don't know. It's kind of retro, but I think the point is there's a segment of the market out there that is not well addressed. I think that's, and there are actually many subsegments, and this product is our effort to address as many of those concerns as possible in a single product, while being able to use it as a platform. If you wanted to put the functionality and the AID algorithms and all the other stuff that you have with the other products on our platform, you could do it. There's nothing technical that would prevent you from doing that. You could get rid of the button. You can put the AID algorithms from one of our competitors on our device. It's just as accurate. It works just as well. We've chosen to go after a different group of patients. That doesn't mean that one of them couldn't partner with us to choose to go in a different direction if they so desire.
Right. I think let's just talk about the fact that Medtronic had a offer, not they had an offer to buy a company with not exactly it was similar, not a perfect match to your device, but for
It
how
was
much?
very similar to this, actually. This is an insulin Omnipod that I'm holding up. It was very similar to this.
Okay. And what was that? What was that offer? Do you remember?
$738 million cash
Okay,
for a
700.
product that was cleared in Korea, Europe, and not in the US, and had about 5,000 total patients who had ever worn.
Okay.
And it's a one-piece pump, so it's got all the issues of you're throwing away the electronics every 3 days instead of every 90 days, like you are with us.
Right. Okay.
I shouldn't say was. It is. It is.
38. So it was not approved in the US, and it probably wasn't going to be approved in the US until 20.
I mean, who knows? It's similar enough to an Omnipod that I would suspect that it would be cleared in the US eventually. I mean, it's still subject to litigation with insulin,
Right.
which is one of the reasons the deal fell apart,
Right. So
it appears.
I don't think Medtronic has filled that need. Have they?
Not that we can tell. Not that we can tell. They keep talking about an internal program, patch pump program, but you know, it can't have been that close if they were going to spend $740 million for a knockoff of a competitor.
Right.
I don't think.
Okay.
But to be clear, they did not actually go through with the deal. They walked away from it last December.
Well, because there were all kinds of patent issues with.
Yeah, Insulet sued them and EOFlow and their contract manufacturer, and then a bunch of individuals for trade secret theft, patent infringement, yada yada yada. They got a temporary restraining order. Then the deal fell apart. Then the restraining order was lifted, and I mean, look, I'm not going to comment on the legal issues and who's responsible and how much merit Insulet's claim had. But I will just say one portion of their claim was that 65% of the componentry in an EO patch was identical to an Omnipod.
That's a big coincidence, right?
It is. But that's what they alleged. I'm not going to tear these two things apart and compare them because our product is different, not addressing the same segment.
Prior to your approval,
Clearance, yes, prior to the clearance.
your clearance.
Yeah.
The average market cap of any company that got approval is what?
Well, not average. Every company that had ever been cleared with an insulin pump for type 1 and 2, and that look, the end there is pretty small, right? But the minimum level that they achieved after clearance at some point soon after clearance was $330 million. That was insulin in 2009, and that's $09 when they had 2 million in revs and negative gross margins. Tandem, when they went public, had a $480 million cap. Then they managed to blow $500 million competing against Medtronic at the kitchen table, got down to 40, and then Medtronic had a major recall. J&J exited the business, and they galloped to 1.8 billion in 18 months.
Okay.
So that's a little bit of the history. Valeritas, which had a product called the Vigo, which was cleared for type 2 only, which was a basal only pump you had to fill every day. That was a third taller than an Omnipod. It's still on the market. Mankind owns it now. It's been bought twice for $1. And that as a independent entity, Valeritas was a graveyard for $900 million of investor money. And even with the $900 million on their third management team, they had a $140 million EV when they had a manufacturing problem and had to sell the company to creditors. But that product was only labeled for type 2 because it's unable to tell you if it stops working because it's just a mechanical spring.
Got it. So what's your current market cap?
It's a good question. Let's see. There are 33 million shares out, and yeah, it's in the low 70s.
Yeah, about 70 million, right?
Yeah.
that seems like a disconnect to me.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a disconnect. And it implies that we're a long, long ways away from being able to commercialize this and make product, which is also not true, right? We announced in early August, that we're moving the manufacturing line down to Mexico, so that's in validation. So we should be able to make product for the U.S. market early next year. I think it's another major differentiator that we actually thought about how do we produce this, and this isn't a toy. This isn't designed by engineers for engineers, and then we'll figure out how to make it later and work around the problems with it. It was designed to be manufacturable.
And you just had a new hire that is kind of an expert in bringing products to market, isn't he?
Steve, you're talking about Steve Gemmel, our head of engineering. So Steve's an interesting guy in that he was head of R&D for Insulet for 5 years, and he did a lot of basic engineering work, and he also did a lot of integration of Insulet with the Insulin Omnipod with other devices in the diabetes space. And then he was at a company called Onduo, which is a Google Sanofi joint venture, where he was head of device, where he did a lot of work integrating different devices in the diabetes ecosystem. So, we have Bluetooth, we have NFC. I don't think he would have joined us if he didn't think that there was an opportunity to use that skill set, make us part of this ecosystem, in as much as people want to be a part of it. Look, there's some users out there who want no part of that. They want the benefit of a pump, of having that slow basal drip, and they want to be able to push a button when they're going to bolus. And that's all they want.
Right.
And, there's no product for them. But we think we can be a product for them, and we can be a product that caters to someone who wants a simpler user experience, but still might want to integrate with their CGM, still might want to integrate with, still might want to get a report on their phone that shows their CGM data right next to their pump data. And we have the ability to do all of that.
Who can write the script for this pump? Is it only the endos, or it can be anybody?
Well, 20% of people who inject daily insulin in the US are seen by a PCP still. So there's no reason that a PCP couldn't write it. It's just most PCPs, virtually no PCP is comfortable writing one of the current pumps because it's so much work to train.
Right.
I think we think that there's a real opportunity to get PCP. This is a pump that is easy enough to learn that a PCP could write it. And that the $50 reimbursement to train someone to use a pump is attractive given our ease of use.
Right.
For the clinician.
What else do you have on your mind, Jeb?
Let's see, what else do I have on my mind? So I guess the other thing that I think people are sort of underappreciating about this space right now is that while Medtronic has been the market share leader and has managed to bleed their market share down to about a third, the reason that they've kept the share that they have is because while they've had the worst sensor and the hardest to use pump for a long time, they've been the only company that does both. So they've had this walled garden to themselves. And so you have users who are very used to the interface and they like the tight integration, and they've stayed with Medtronic. And I've seen people take this to extreme ends. Like I met a young lady, I think she was like 11 or 12 at a sailing camp once, and she was wearing a Dexcom, a Medtronic CGM, and a Medtronic pump, because her parents liked how tightly integrated the Medtronic CGM and the pump were, but felt that it was an inferior CGM, so they made her wear a third device because they liked the real-time reporting of the Dexcom. I mean, that's a big burden for 11 or 12-year-old.
Right.
So the reason I relate that is so they've had this walled garden. They've been slowly dribbling market share away. I think the 780G is much more well received than the 670G, and so I think that's helped slow some of their market share loss. But then a few weeks ago, they finally did something that I think is really, really smart, and I think it's sort of changed the industry, which is they announced a deal with Abbott, so that Abbott would make a proprietary version of their Freestyle Libre for Medtronic to sell with Medtronic's algorithms and integrated tightly with Medtronic's devices. So, I mean, in essence, Medtronic has solved half their problem. they've gone from having probably the worst sensor on the market to having maybe the best. One. Two, tells you how good Abbott's costs are now that they can sell this sensor to Medtronic and still have that be attractive to them. And it says that they value the walled garden of a pump and a pump sales force, which is very interesting given that the CGMs have always maintained that they are Switzerland and they are value added and pumping is a convenience. So now, basically, I think this takes the Medtronic pump user base completely off the table for Dexcom. And it makes you wonder what's going to happen with the other two pumping guys, right? With Tandem and Insulet, because they both could use the incremental margin from having their own proprietary CGM. And, Dexcom had kind of a slow quarter. And I think the competitive environment in the CGM space is heating up. And so I could see a scenario where suddenly there's a land grab where the CGM guys try and tie up the pump guys. Given that there's only one large market share patch pump company out there, I could kind of see that being beneficial for us, because whoever gets Insulet, the other guy's probably going to need a solution.
Probably.
Of some kind.
Jeb, in case people don't understand, what's your real daytime job?
I'm one of the two PMs of a hedge fund called Manchester Management, which also happens to be the largest holder of Modular Medical.
Okay.
So I used to sit on, I still sit most of the time on the other side of the desk, not on this side of the desk. So it's sort of,
you have a pretty good understanding of capital markets.
I've been accused of that times. I think so.
I would suggest that you probably are familiar with organizations that make really stupid financing decisions that could literally bury a company.
Yeah, we try to avoid that. We try to avoid that ourselves, and we try to avoid being part of something that would be terminal for an organization. So, and look, I'm not saying that there won't be a need for capital of some amount at some point with Modular. I mean, look, you only have to look at our balance sheet and our burn rate to know. But the question is, how much do we want to spend now in order to keep the wheels moving on our manufacturing integration? And how do we assess what you're going to spend? Well, you need to know what your relative rate of return is. And we're all about maximizing the risk-adjusted rate of return for our shareholders. At the end of the day, that, and then anything that we do as a company has to be in the service of making life easier while providing better care for people with diabetes. That's it. Really simple. Don't have to get any more complicated than that.
Life for the patient, right?
Yep. Better quality of life with not, especially for people who don't want diabetes to be their new hobby.
Right. And one could say you're also making it easier on the doctors, the healthcare providers, right? Because now you're giving them an option that they can feel comfortable actually writing a script for.
Well, you think about how frustrating it is for these clinicians, right? That patients come in all the time who have seen the three options that have been out there for 10 plus years. And they say, I know someone who's on that. I know someone who's on that. Someone who's on that. I'm not doing any one of those three. What do you have for me? And for many, many years, the answer has been, I have nothing else for you. Try harder, or, be better about your diet, or just, I'm sorry, I don't think any of these is going to work for you right now. Just giving them a fourth option, even if it doesn't end up working out for them, is a huge benefit for the clinician, because then it looks like at least they're trying. Right. And for the user, the potential user, it's, wow, this might actually give me better care. There's a chance that I might adopt this because it is different. And it does interact with my life and my needs in a different way. And once again, it's not for everyone. like something like 10 or 15% of people will never wear any device, right? That's just nature of the beast. They just don't want to. And and some percentage of people love all the high functionality, and they love spending lots of time managing their diabetes and sharing the numbers with people, and that's great. But there are all these people in the middle who are not being served by the current pumps.
Can I ask you a question? Have you hired a banker yet to explore options?
No, we have not. And the reason we have not is that we just got the clearance 72 hours ago, roughly in business hour terms, and I think we need to get our feet underneath ourselves a little bit, and figure out exactly how to handle that in a responsible way.
I'm sure you have a couple of avenues that you want to explore, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think we want to have appropriate discussions to see what the best risk adjusted return is for us, and that might be with an acquirer, that might be with a distributor, that might be with some kind of strategic partner, it might be any combination of those things. But we really haven't had the tools in the toolkit to have those discussions until last Wednesday evening.
Right.
So
this is an exciting, very exciting time for the company. I think the market, and I think a lot of this reaction has to do with the fact that the market itself is still in a very uncertain time, right? We've got an election coming up, stuff happening that just makes people there's not a lot of clarity on where we're headed. But I can say that you have a product that is going to have a very positive impact on people's quality of life, right?
Yeah.
And that at some point will be recognized. And I think through this process of you exploring your options, I think more and more companies and individuals are going to recognize what it is that and they're going to recognize that this is what I would say is just grossly misvalued.
I think what we have has tremendous value both as a standalone, and it has tremendous value as a part of a larger organization if it goes in that direction.
Right.
And I think that's ultimately strategic value is usually recognized.
I would also recommend that anybody that wants to write an opinion on your company should probably have a discussion with you first.
Probably. I mean, certainly they can either talk to me, or they can at the very least just look at the presentation that we have on the website, where we try and lay out the opportunity in fairly straightforward terms.
Yeah, because there are some, supposed experts out there that really don't have a clue. I'm just going to say that straight out.
Yeah. Well, that's what makes a market, right?
That's what makes a market. But just do your own due diligence, people. I mean, I don't tell anybody what to do or what to buy or when to sell, but I can tell you this. This is a very muted reaction to a very big announcement, and at some point it's going to be recognized. So I don't know when that will happen, but I would not consider this little pop, oh, you missed the move. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah,
it is technically breaking out. I mean, I put these lines up the last time you and I spoke, right?
Yeah.
And it was coiling up, and it has broken through. Oh, I got to move your logo.
You got to move our logo so people can see the lines.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. I'm going to move it real quick right now and show people. These lines, I did not put these up before I hopped on the call. These are the lines that were drawn when we met last time. And I was trying to point out the fact that the stock was making a pattern of higher lows, and it was coiling up into a flag formation. It was going to break one way or another, and it has broken. It has broken to the upside, and it's at an area right now that is it's a little bit of a resistance area that acted as a floor once before. It's not a big area of resistance. There's not a tremendous amount of supply there. So this is what I would say. Um, this would be maybe another area where it consolidates, and maybe as people start to grasp the reality of what this means, maybe that is what then sends it to its next level. But I would suggest that this is still a really, really good opportunity to start building a position in the shares. But do your own due diligence. This is a big market. This is going to be this is a big difference, a big change for the end user, for the customer. This is simple. This is not as cumbersome, right? The unit
Yep.
itself is fairly small, right?
Yep. Yep. Now this is how big it is. So you don't know how big my hands are, but this is this is the controller, and this is the cartridge.
Right. So you have the video, and I highly recommend. Actually, if it's okay with you, I'm gonna have that video on the open.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
Just so people can see it.
Mhm.
But it's on the arm, and you can see it through the shirt a little bit. But you can wear it, and I mean, if I wanted to put it on my side, I can wear it.
You can put it on your abdomen. Yeah. Yep. That's true.
Okay. All right. All right. Anything else, Jim? Anything else you got on your mind?
Um. Well, I think the last time we spoke, we talked about our GLP-1 program a lot, right? And I think I just reiterate as far as people judging a book by its cover, like, we didn't put that announcement out casually. And that program doesn't exist casually because we think, oh, there's a lot of hype around GLP-1s. Maybe we can use that to pop the stock 20 cents and bang out a financing. That's not really the point here. The point is that we can spend $100,000 and potentially double our TAM if this works. And we don't have to change anything about the device in order to see if this works, because our device is uniquely suited for this application if our base thesis is right. So, I've heard a bunch of commentary about, just another company trying to hype the GLP-1 opportunity. What do they have? Well, I think what we have is an FDA cleared platform that is cleared right now for insulin, but merits further investigation as far as whether or not there are other metabolic applications for it.
And not just GLP-1. I mean,
that's right. That's right. No, I think we're interested in that space because I think the pricing and the use case is compelling, and there's so little that and the dosing size is about the same, and the accuracy demands are about the same, and the amount of change that has to happen with the device to distract our engineers from the important work of continuing to optimize the MODD1 platform is negligible.
Right.
So that's, I think it's, yeah. And look, it's not going to take, the proof of concept study we have going on. We're not actually using our device because we don't know how mice respond to having our pump on their body. And I'd rather not have that be a confounding factor, but it's dosing the drug at the appropriate levels where we can get a sense as to,
and
it's not, is this better than a weekly GLP-1 shot? That's not the point. If you can tolerate a one-size-fits-all shot and lose 20% of your body weight in a short period of time, I'll warranty all day long you're never going to wear a pump. Right. That's great. That's great. Good for you. But I think there are enough people who are churning off the GLP-1 products because one size fits all is too expensive. It makes them nauseous. It causes diarrhea, it causes vomiting, or it causes inadequate satiety and hunger relief in the back half of the week before you're ready for your next shot. That it's not getting it's for some reason it's not working for you. And so instead of offering you another one size fits all shot, if there was an option out there to offer you pump that would allow you to personalize your dose and up the dose when you were around meals to provide better hunger relief and perhaps allow you to dose lower at baseline, that's worth exploring.
Right.
Because it might be helpful for a group of patients who otherwise would be denied any of the benefits of these therapies.
And I think you had a percentage of people that actually stopped the program after like the first week or
so Blue Cross Blue Shield published a paper that said that 35% of patients stopped after 4 weeks.
After 4 weeks.
Discontinued after 4 weeks and 50% after 12.
And
that's a lot. That's a lot. And so once again, like, in order for this to be a value add for the system for people with type 2 diabetes who are trying to have better glycemic control and better weight control, I think we might be talking about, a couple percent share.
Right.
And obviously we're not going to take this all the way ourselves. We're not a drug company, we're a device company. So it's this, and then maybe a small first in human study, and then partner it with the appropriate pharmaceutical company who's interested in pursuing the opportunity if the data is good. If the data is not good, I'll be honest and say we've spent $100,000.
Right. So what? Right.
So we've made mistakes before. We'll make them again.
Yep. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
All right, Jeb. Listen, man. I hope that this. I hope you between the video of how easy it is to use and what you've said here today to clarify some speculation and misconceptions. Maybe there will be having a very different look in the share price in the near future when the light bulb goes on. I don't know.
No. One can hope. One can hope.
One can hope. All right. When do you think you and I should do a follow-up?
I don't know. That's a good question. I feel like circumstances will kind of dictate that over the next few months. Okay. Certainly now that we're off the FDA timeline, we're going to have a lot more regular news flow because, this is an exciting time for us and there's a lot more to do.
I mean, when do you start hitting the street and actually, knocking on some doors and seeing what the options are?
I mean, if I'm being honest, it would be as soon as I jump off this call, but that's probably in a fairly introductory sort of way.
Right.
Look, of course we've had preliminary discussions, but the reality is nobody wants to fully engage and decide where you fit in their world until you get clear. There have been too many failures.
Have you had anybody call and congratulate you that shows they're paying attention to the story?
Oh, we've had lots of people call and congratulate us, but that doesn't mean anything.
All right. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
All right, Jeb. Well, you know where I am, right?
Yes. Yeah, I know. Well, when we have something, I like to say that when we say something, it should be substantive. And we're not going to be people who are just splashing stuff around not to be substantive. And, I think we're going to stick to that. So if we have something more to say, this is a great forum to discuss it in detail.
Okay, man. All right.
Okay.
Hold on a second. I'm going to shut this off unless you think there's anything else that needs to be said.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, man. Hold on 1 second. Thank you for tuning in to another CEO follow-up interview here. Today we had Jeb Besser from Modular Medical Devices, ticker symbol MODD. I hope you enjoyed today's interview, and if you did, please do us a favor, give us a like. How about giving us a share? And while you're at it, make sure you smash that subscribe button. All of those things are extremely important to us here at Alpha Wolf Capital, and we appreciate you taking the time to do that. Until next time, stay safe. Alpha Wolf Capital wishes you the very best of success.